Atifu makwa baba da Likee Tv Be send number channel so hit Addo and subscribe like share my one pense me be ati so nya binti dwemre na daje monwan sim ne ne den so me Tröublé mfamu nsem nyinam remo ne bawruma atifu ne bawramu ewo NDC akache ne nsem be no mudi atodwa omudi nsem be atodwa efa Gabby Okyere Darko ho na mepese mitimu kakra chem ansa ne bawra nsem ni mo na omuchemu se eno hwe oman Ghana inflation ni niema koswa ohwem open crofo pa wo monsa ehase e kamye se futubone pa no mode ma aban ne dia na tim se Gabby Okyere Darko e de o ka ho pa na mempese nsem no michiremu pi yemunwram na entie nsem a omode ababonten ye ba de ka ho bia no yenso ye de mutim na bebram
enti se omode policies no e ba abonten a enti eya hwamu na ye omone omodwene ho and some of the policies na ba bonting. Governor, there were two types of policies. We have the fiscal policy and then the monetary policies. In the economy, we are chemu the fiscal front and the monetary front. The fiscal front, in a deal with a tour aban jeje any kwan aban efa so eyusu a no. So the fiscal front deals with taxes, revenue generation and expenditures. And then the monetary front no eneye nhyehyeye aban edigu akwan mu to ensure say yesika sem ho ebe gina pintin. Na kwabna ya bibisa me ho say he for pa na yet na se since aban ba ye omo fiscal policies some they aban nyina at par with their monetary policies. Into me bisa me say who sits down to design these policies?
Gabby ni be there to sit down to design these policies.
I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if these are the people who are, because it's very clear that the people who design these economic policies and bring them to us don't understand economics. Anytime they can actually say, for economy, Ghana economy, so the monetary front and the fiscal front. The fiscal front near taxes, monetary front near Bank of Ghana. So the fiscal front is handled by the Ministry of Finance. The monetary front is handled by the Bank of Ghana. Now in PNP, for you to achieve economic progress and development, the fiscal front and the monetary front must complement each other. They must work in tandem to give you a holistic economic development. In PNP, the monetary front is like the benchmark. Say, aban here, na say inflation air cost.
Yeah.
The central bank at the MPC committee, they monitors daily inflation. Into the MPC committee, when inflation cost, what they do is that they will increase the policy rate. When they increase the policy rate, it will reduce spending and bring inflation down.
Yeah.
Because most of inflations are demand pull inflation. And they work in tandem. But the problem is that as a government, you don't always want to increase the policy rate. Because when you increase the policy rate, it has an effect on interest rate. The interest rate also have an effect on lending rate. So when the policy rate goes up, definitely interest rates will go up. Lending rates goes up in the banks. Yesterday year the policy rate was about 27%. Bank of Ghana was lending at about 30%. The commercial banks were lending to business about 40 to 45%, depending on where you go to. Kwabna, who ye business? Na ukobobusia at an interest rate of 40%.
Nancy will say ya.
Ejuma be na wo de sase kan kwa koye uko be production at what cost? What about Tony saying? And the Obi or China, the interest rate is 1.5%. Obi or America, the interest rate is sometimes less than 1%. Japan cry sometimes it be cry. Yeah.
Send Uncle Boche can say, "O come to say Cote d'Ivoire, a machine company be plastic company, Pence and something company. Or more relocate to Cote d'Ivoire
because even in your neighboring countries, no,
or more business environment.
Time now, Ghana, your banks were lending at a commercial rate of 40%. No, Togo higher interest rate. Bank interest rate was 16. Was the average was between 16 to 18%. Togo higher. And who will produce the same item?
Yeah. And I say companies need to Togo or be produce na Ghana and Yako Faba.
Exactly. And nothing and Togo because now Busian is 16%, any 40%. Then Nakabakoji. So maybe some will say all the time, Bank of Ghana. In the interest, say they will manage the policy rate in such a way, say the lending rate won't go up. But the moment inflation goes up, the central bank is inclined to increase the policy rate. So, as a government, the finance ministry, the responsibility is say, or the policies be bar, so policies and driving inflation and cost. So that pressure will not come on the central bank to increase the policy rate, which will then in turn increase the lending rate. Yeah. And so they depend on each other. Yeah, but 2024 budget of the call parliament. And almost say almost increase VAT by an additional 2.5%. Come say okay. Yeah. Almost say the VAT air to electricity so. What you say? And saa nyoma we nyina ye ade a inflation drivers, inflation drivers, because VAT is a consumption tax. Once you increase the VAT rate, price of goods and services automatically goes up because the VAT is passed on to the consumer. So inflation will go up automatically. If you put VAT on electricity is an input in production. Once the input in production goes up, it will affect the market price of the product.
No, but the point is, you ain't being a BBA and far. I bind me interesting who's okay. Now, my percent production cost. 7 years for a bit me, enya, a year, a quenya, Tonyama, our neighbor, no work from Kakra. That is the consumers. So let me do something about the electricity. And let me do something about the water.
And nothing I make say sometimes me nim wo mo tena se de sanhye we eden sanhye we eba because sen komo dwene
na bia o masada
they simply want to punish Ghanaians because it simply does not make sense, because the economic policies are just at par. The fiscal policies are at par with the monetary policies, so you can't achieve any synergy. This is the reason why our economy is the way it is. Kwabena,
it's for your domestic some jebre and we find some way into Mokakra. Na, I'm say, Nakoponya Duma coming 7 December na battery baswo na just a minute, and your chance your boss will do the trap on my Ghana for Kanka. And this Amanyo Kuni MPP Amanyo Kun, Munim, a drop at Toswa, and Munto Kwani Munsebno. I feel you know, yes, I say, your 2 who's but boss will do the rule actually on my Ghana.
A buy way a campaign or car say, I am going to move the focus of the economy from taxation to production. I thought to say, not Dr. Baumia, or the fiscal policy, I say. I thought so. I have done economics up to the master's level. I was taught that fiscal policies, there are 2 types of fiscal policies. There are contractionary fiscal policies and expansionary fiscal policies. because taxes are a double-edged sword. You can use taxes to grow the economy. You can use taxes to kill the economy.
When you are no money.
Into contrastional
indication got the third point in the buy. Yeah, no, economic or moment to economics. Or more, you know. Where would you know money?
No, but it falls in the second one where would they kill the economy?
The contrastional fiscal policy. Is it contrastional fiscal policies? No, come on.
Anyway,
the contrastional fiscal policies come on. Point
because I back there here.
Yeah, so the contrastional fiscal policies in the same. And all your taxes are introduced to certain aspects of the economy where you want to discourage spending. What I say, to refocus spending towards a particular direction. So you introduce certain policies in certain areas to contract
policies spending. Sir.
For example, you find say the importation of rice so.
Yeah.
Now consumers talk more local rice.
Yeah.
So what you do is that you increase the taxes, the import taxes on maybe rice. What you say? So the rice the bonnet
So which means you agree with the current import taxes on rice. So with this government, you agree with them.
It depends on how it is. How you implement it. Economic policy is how you implement it. It is not blanket. They make a say. So you must look at.
So the next question is how now?
I don't know how they are doing it, honestly. I don't know.
Obviously, today, rice duties on imported rice.
Yes.
Because if you look at the excess duties.
So I'm coming. So you see, that's why I'm saying that. You see, you don't introduce contrastional fiscal policies in a vacuum. If you want to cut the consumption in imported rice, then before you do that, you might have made provisions to substitute for the cut in consumption.
So in the absence of
say, okay, until one process local rice ni one farmers no support and subsidies to do so to be able to produce to meet the demand on the consumption of rice. Now also critical in a vacuum, also mako increase. Your friend is saying, but the taxes are cut to rice as well. Without any alternative for the consumer, you have not solved any problem. The consumer has no choice because so they have no choice than to go and buy the imported one like that, and that is going to drive inflation. You see, so Intermaker say sometimes some of the policies are just not thought through. You need to sit down and look at say which areas of the economy do I want to influence. And buying encourage local production. So any buying the policy no. I want to encourage local production. Now encourage local production. All your factors of production are over the roof. All your factors of production. Now it is Ghana is one of the worst places in this on the continent to be competitive. If you want to produce at a competitive rate, what I say, all the economies of scale in the factors of production do not favor Ghana. What you are doing is that in the end you are, instead of, apart from driving inflation, you are encouraging the weakening of your currency, because all these businesses who are relocating to neighboring countries when they produce, their goods are going to find their way back on our market. How are they going to find their way back on our market? Through exchange, through the pressure on your currency. Because wako Togo na say oko producer na me ko fa do maba say you see them they become the safer na beko me ko pay safer, then I put pressure on your city against the safer. And these things sometimes me nim say bon no ma bon say share no ma share that no person punish ye say ya adwene no mo nwene, and I'm inclined to believe say e adwene no mo nwene, because in the midst of all these challenges wo ko pro bi amana be chair the next economic management team. Now say Napo is the next person to chair the next economic management team in the midst of these problems. to resolve these problems. Not just say, wow, meaning the how. I just don't know what is wrong with you.
All right, so one quick comment. Lawrence Agbanyo was a grabu economy. That form. All right, so Jolate is here on Facebook. Lawrence Agbanyo says Ghana will crash if the necessary measures are not taken like Kenya. Ghana youth are timid, and that timidity will crash the nation. Look at Kenya youth who realize they don't have future if their president is still in power. I really respect the people of Kenya and the military for pretending they are against the protesters, because they knew all the taxes imposed on the citizens affects them too. It's by the time the youth of Ghana rise on their feet. So, listen, and Kenya Echo 5 water echo, and you heard the your friends say rent for no. I had him because and so many factors. You had the Greater Accra Hoteliers Association. It's like the business is crashing. You had the plastic manufacturers, and so our sisters say no only about 5 big companies, and one company can employ 1,400, 1,500, 2,000, and say companies 5 a year be employed even 1,000 kwa 5,000 deficit that we got to deal with. It seems like what businesses for now Joseph Obin. It's like, look, you'll be a person, you'll be on yet. There is no hope, and yet I jagu.
Around, I'm in Chetifo. I'm in Chair Mensana, Mr. Mensana, and more Bassos, and I'm in Chair Mr. Boubier. Mr. Boubier to be. You see, a new Nien Sabina, say, I was saying, my any a cohon, dear. Ama Wayna Bano, a new mamiensa, the decay. Oh, you don't try to teach economics when you know that you have a president who read economics. However bad he was, or a third-class student of economics. Is that also? And you are supposed to have Obia or also so why any doctorate or PhD in economics. Is that also? So me can't come near until Alan Martin left Osafumafo and all those people that read economics no. Or more about we more or more economics. Can be I same say about be anywhere when you say number of persons or more economic background to say by way.
For the master summary about the Likee TV comment section notification bell no click to share the latest content be on Sabekam Yedomasi Akroma.